Welcome to an all-new Tales from the Dorkside. I am Brad Reed.
I am Gog.
And we're here to scare the shit out of you.
That's right.
This week.
So make sure you get your diapers on.
Yes.
Press the pause button. Go put your diaper on.
I would suggest maybe just going before we get started.
Okay.
That would be better.
Listen to or watch the show whilst sitting upon the toilet.
Oh, even better. Because, you know, it's always lonely when you go in there. Mm-hmm. You're in there for about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're going through your TikTok.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, am I getting poo on my phone?
Right.
You know? So just turn it on, set your phone over there.
Yeah,
in
set
corner,
it on the shower or whatever's near your toilet area.
And let us tickle your fancy while you take your
biz.
Yeah. That's the best opening to a show ever laid down, I think.
So.
Yeah.
We're good at podcasting, y'all.
Yeah. And if you think that we're really good, then go ahead and like and subscribe.
Right. Smash that like and subscribe button.
Yeah. Do it.
Ring the bell. I think that's something they say these days.
Yeah. It'll be awesome. Hey, today we've got a few things to talk about. We're going to play another game of Horror Movie Generator. I can't wait for that.
Back.
It's been a little bit. I like to space it out because let people miss it.
Yeah, it also gives our brain juices some time to recharge.
Yes, I needed to refill my brain juice. We're going to recap the episode Slippage of Tales from the Dorkside.
Yep.
Ahead of our release of our unedited watch along.
That's right.
And we're going to review, as of right now, this movie called The Thing.
Let me ask you this. Did you watch the trailers? There's a couple of trailers that came out this week.
Yes.
And if you're down, I would love to talk about them.
I think that would be good. I just did what, if you've ever done stage announcements, I messed up.
No.
Because when the band, I remember I've done a lot of band announcements for the cat, but I remember one time Mudvayne especially, they were like, do not say they're coming out on stage like right now, put your hands together for Mudvayne.
Oh yeah,
because it was probably going to still be like another 10, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes.
Everyone's like, yeah,
so you're like, put it together and get ready and cheer for Mudvayne, they're coming out right now. So you'd have to they were like, this was like a cardinal rule.
Yeah.
You don't say right now, you say
coming up.
Yeah.
I was hosting an open mic night and called our feature the wrong name entirely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
how'd that go over?
Oh, he was very kind about it. I called him the wrong last name.
It'd be funny if he was like, fuck no, and beat your ass.
Yeah.
That'd be a better story. Change it to where he whoops your ass.
Okay, so that's me rewinding.
Yeah. I could have just edited it.
Oh, okay, well.
And go.
So I called the guy the wrong name when I was hosting an open mic night. I called him by the wrong last name. And
was it just a regular name, or were you
it was like it was like
it's Todd Fuckface.
No, it was the same last letter but the wrong last name. And so he came out and just beat the shit out of me
with a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
And a guitar.
Did he bruise you up?
And then he made
bad?
me pay for his guitar.
Oh my god!
That he broke over my head.
Oh my god! Did you ever host another open mic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you weren't gonna let this guy drive you out.
No.
Dope. That's a dope story.
Thanks. It really actually happened in real life. Definitely real.
Yeah, it definitely happened just that way. In fact, I want to know his name. I want to know his full name so we can put this up on the internet and
it's
accuse him. JJ.
JJ Jameson. It was J. Jonah Jameson. He was coming up to read his Spider-Man poetry.
And then he just beat your ass wholesale.
I called him J. Jonah Jason.
God.
Savage.
I could see that happening though.
I don't know why he even had a guitar, because he was just doing spoken word poetry, but he happened to have a guitar with him.
Just a little light, strumming to kind of keep him on beat maybe.
Now that I think about it, maybe that wasn't even his guitar. He just grabbed somebody else's guitar, smashed me over the head, and then maybe paid him for the guitar that he broke.
It'd be great. I won't make you rewind, but it was your guitar.
Oh, that's right.
He broke your guitar over you, and then made you pay him.
And then paid him for my broken guitar on my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real story, guys.
Great story. So There was 2 trailers that came out before we do the thing. And the first was Evil Dead Rise. And I really enjoyed this trailer. I think that it looks like a sequel to the remake.
Yeah.
Not so much to the original trilogy.
Right.
It's got the same style, but updated and kind of more slick.
Yeah.
More of a budget, obviously. But, and then there were some people that I know personally, like when I put this on my page and they were like, ugh, you know, because it doesn't have Ash in it. It's not directed by Sam Raimi.
Right.
And I get it.
Sure, like the purists out there that
it's
only
not
consider the first 3 movies.
Yeah, it's not your original Evil Dead. However, like I told them, like I look at this one more as like this is in the Evil Dead universe.
Right.
So it's just another story that goes along because the Necronomicon is like what ties it all together.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the Necronomicon is technically the main character of all of these stories.
Right. And so somebody else finds it and unleashes hell on Earth, basically.
And I think that's a cool idea because then it allows you the opportunity to continue this story indefinitely.
Yeah.
No matter who's tied to it. And, you know, they did a teaser the day before the trailer came out with Bruce Campbell. He came out and said, hey, just heads up, I'm not in the movie. I was an executive producer on it. So, and he had nothing but high praises to say. So,
Well, he is, yeah, like you said, him and Sam Raimi are executive producers. So, you're contributing to the cause.
yeah.
You're going to put a little money in their pocket still.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how involved they are because, you know, like with executive producer credits, sometimes they just throw those out to any
slap it on.
Yeah, like if you were involved with it at some point, but then you got fired, but they were just like, you know, we're going to give you an executive.
Yeah.
So, but I still think that probably still amounts to a paycheck. Now, here's the other thing. Because Sam Raimi and Ash aren't going to be in it, it doesn't mean that it's going to be as good as the originals. I know this. You know this. It could be bad, but it could be good too. I mean,
I think it's going into it just knowing it's going to be different than the originals.
Yeah, you would have to.
I think that's, and you know, I think a lot of people that love the originals, they love them for the kind of over the top camp charm that it is. But you know, from this trailer, like there's going to be some over the top shit going on in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like there's some pretty gruesome little details that happened, and I thought like the Deadites looked really freaky and like creepy.
Yeah. I did too. And they still have the kind of same style.
They still have the camera kind of like zooming in towards her in the lobby and everything. It just...
Oh, and then there was a line on there that was, Mommy's sleeping with the maggots now. Or something like, Mommy's with the maggots now. And I was like, ooh, that's a good one.
And so, there's a scene that takes place at a cabin, and there's speculation that that's like not prequel, but like that takes place before the events of this movie. Like maybe the intro to the movie will be these people at this camp or this cabin. So and it doesn't look like the same cabin, but that kind of ties in.
Because in the remake, you saw like the car that he drove was there was like an old ass, you know, it was all old and nasty out in the yard and stuff. So they tried to kind of tie it into where like that possibly happened a long time ago, and they come across the same cabin or whatever.
Yeah.
So I like that. I thought that was cool. You got to have a little bit of a tie-in, but I wouldn't get so hung up on the fact that it's not the original people. I would give it a chance.
Yeah.
It looked cool to me.
Right. And if it's awesome and a lot of fun, then hey, that's another Evil Dead movie that you have to enjoy.
And if not, then fuck it. You know, we'll never watch it again.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't even remember that there was a remake. But I didn't mind that remake.
I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I got a box set with the Necronomicon book.
Oh yeah.
And it has like all the videos, and the remake came with it. So I was like, cool. So I was like, I think that's cool. Like I kind of with you or whoever else that might at one point want to say about this or any other movie, like why can't they come up with new stuff or whatever? But they do. There's all kinds of like the A24 and all that. They make all this stuff. So to have something that's in the Evil Dead universe, and if you haven't already, then There's Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Right.
You can go watch that.
Yeah. Plenty of Ash in that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have any reason to not want to see it yet.
I wasn't like necessarily like over the top excited whenever they announced that they were making it. I was like, oh, cool, another Evil Dead movie. Like, that's cool. But I'm way more pumped now that I've seen this trailer.
Yeah, the trailer looks good.
It looks cool.
I'm sorry. And like I said, my buddy Shane, he was like this. I assume he watched the trailer, but he said something like it was tepid and da 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 da. And I was like, I get it, but I think you're holding it too close to the originals.
Well, it's just the trailer.
Yeah,
but they showed some crazy shit just in the trailer. So like, imagine what's going to be in the actual movie.
Yeah,
and it was originally made for, I think it was supposed to go straight to HBO Max streaming.
It was, and then now it's going to be in the theaters.
Yeah,
so that tells me I'm a little more excited about, like, they might think that there's a possibility that it might be really good enough to make money instead of just putting it on a streaming site.
Right.
So there's that. But yeah, I mean, and look, I'm not holding it against my buddy Shane either. Like,
yeah, sure.
If you love the originals, and I love them too.
I did too, yeah.
And you don't think that this is for you, that's okay.
Right.
I have no problem with that.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say, but at the same time, for me, I think it looks kind of like a cool movie.
Yeah.
So I was excited about that one. All right, Gog, there was another trailer that came out the other day. I was super excited because back in the spring of last year, I visited New Orleans for like a week.
Oh, nice.
And I love New Orleans. I try to go like at least every couple years. But this movie they were filming while I was there. And like I kept hoping that I was going to run into like Nicolas Cage because he's in this movie, Renfield.
Yes.
And if you're if you don't know what the whole thing is, Renfield is Dracula's little servant, and he's played by Nicholas Hoult in this movie.
The two Nicks.
He was. If you don't know who Nicholas Hoult is, he was Beast Boy.
Yeah,
Or is it Beast
just
or just
Beast?
Yeah. Beast Boy's Titans. Beast in X-Men.
Yeah.
The blue guy.
Right. He had to fill the shoes of Kelsey Grammer as Beast.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They should bring Kelsey Grammer back for the big secret war or whatever.
Which there's a lot of actual rumors that a lot of the original cast are going to be brought back for Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
But
sidebar.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult also in The Menu, which just came out on HBO Max, so you should check that out too. But yeah, so I think he's like the focal point of this, even though Nicolas Cage is Dracula. Now this is like the perfect movie because first of all, Nicolas Cage lives in New Orleans, has a few houses there.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love New Orleans is like, have you been to New Orleans?
Not since I was probably a teenager.
Yes.
It's been a good while.
Well, like it's a gothy type place.
Right.
And it's a place where you're like, if vampires exist, they definitely exist in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you got the Anne Rice books and all this, every vampire lover loves New Orleans. And so Nicolas Cage lives there. And I'm sure he was just dying, pardon the pun, to play Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
And this movie looks like it has like enough like style and like some scary stuff happening. And then you got Nicolas Cage
doing his Nicolas Cage thing.
Yeah.
Doing what he does best.
Yeah.
Being Nicolas Cage.
I can't wait. It comes out April 14th.
Yeah.
And
so that one comes out the 14th. The next week is when Evil Dead comes out. And
those are going to be
all right around 420.
Those are going to be two very nice weeks.
Yeah.
And, if you're like me, though, 420 is every day.
That's true.
Twice a day, actually.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Well, yeah, sure.
As many times as you can fit in.
But technically 2 times a day.
Oh, because of the time, like the actual time.
Yes. But yeah, you ain't got to tell me what time it is. Yeah. I'm going to be like, anyway. No, but this Renfield movie looks over the top.
Yeah, it really does. But it in the best way possible.
Here's my suggestion. It'll be April. It'll be a good time of year to go. Let's go watch it in New Orleans.
Hey, I'll have some vacation time.
and you probably better have some cash because I'm broke, so you're gonna have to pay. But we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh, but the last time I went to New Orleans, I went to this vampire shop.
Yeah.
And I bought some stuff there before, but I was hoping to get an invite because they own like a speakeasy bar on Bourbon Street, and it's supposed to be a vampire bar, right?
Cool.
Well, I didn't get the invite. I guess I didn't give off the aura of, oh, we really want this guy at our vampire bar. But the person in front of me did.
Oh, man.
And I had read it on the internet, like where it actually is and like what you have to say when you get to the door.
Yeah.
But it's on, I think we talked about this before maybe on here. Did I tell you all about it? Like when we were talking about like Interview with a Vampire?
Probably.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I won't tell the whole thing, but there's a bar on Bourbon Street that's like this packed jazz bar.
Yeah.
And you go to the back and there's like a staircase up and you tell them the password and you go up and it's like this tiny little bar, but it's dope. Like it's really cool.
That's cool.
I didn't see any vampires necessarily.
Well,
but they might have been, invisible to me.
yeah. I know, like, maybe if you were looking in a mirror, perhaps one was there and you just didn't see him.
Maybe the whole room was a mirror.
Yeah.
Like they made it a whole mirror and like.
I bet that'd be really confusing as a vampire if it was like a room full of mirror, like on the walls, ceilings, and the floor.
What would a vampire? That'd be a great setup for like a vampire movie where like a vampire's chasing you into like one of those hall of mirrors.
Oh,
And
wow.
then-
That's a crazy idea.
Then you can't see them.
Why has nobody ever done that before? Now somebody's going to steal that
We
idea.
need to
though.
fucking edit this out of the movie and put it in or out of this podcast
Yeah.
and put it in our own movie. But what if like the vampire freaks out too? Like, oh shit, where did I go?
Where man like, keeps running into everything.
That'd be great. That'd be great. And maybe if that's in a movie, leave a comment and tell us.
Yeah, because if it's not, we don't need to make a full movie of it. We just do a short film.
Yeah,
That's like a 5-minute short of a vampire chasing a guy into a hall of mirrors. and getting fucking running into shit.
yeah. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
Let's do it. So comment, tell us whether we're wasting our time or not.
Yeah.
And
don't
in the
steal our
meantime,
idea.
we're gonna do it.
Copyright, patent pending,
Yeah.
trademark, vampire in
Yeah,
hall of mirrors.
January 7th, 2023.
Damn, you almost like skipped a few months there.
I know. I almost skipped a few years too. But it's still early in January, so
Yeah.
I don't quite know what year it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for those movies.
Yeah, it
That's
looks
going to be an
cool.
awesome April.
Looks like it's going to have a lot of great like violence, the fun
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah, it does look like a fun movie though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Aquafina in it. Like anything
I
she's
love
in,
her.
it's going to be a fun movie.
I love her. She was in the Legends of the Ten Rings or what was that called? Why am I blanking on
Shi-Ching?
that? Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
she
I
was
pronounced
awesome.
that correctly or not, but
You said it low enough though that no one will know for sure. All right. Now I think we should coming up next is our main event.
yeah.
But we'll talk about The Thing now.
The Thing.
The reason we kind of got onto The Thing this week. Oh, speaking of vampires though, real quick. I keep fucking this up. But I think next week we're going to talk about 2 vampire movies.
Okay.
Oh my God. Keep moving around and it's messing everything up. We're going to talk about 2 vampire movies, Near Dark, which is now on Shudder, which I'm so excited about, and
Yep.
The Lost Boys.
Yep.
I kind of filled you in on like how they both came out in the same year, I
Right.
think, and like The Lost Boys was just like this huge thing though. But they're both great movies.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
and I'm excited too because as you know, I love Near Dark, but Lost Boys is like that's one of my
That's
favorites.
the jam.
And I just kind of been waiting to do it.
Uh-huh.
But I
Time
think
to pull the
now's
trigger.
time. Now's the
Yeah.
time. So
Nice.
we're gonna put a stake in the heart of that movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a
But
steak in my belly.
yes, that would be nice, actually. Last week we were talking about, according to science,
Science.
Sinister was the scariest movie with all the jump scares and whatnot. Well, we were kind of like, what's some horror movies that involve science?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, The Thing was a movie that had like, it's kind of sci-fi,
Yeah. It's a bunch of scientists.
But yeah, I had some researchers and some scientists, some regular, like Kurt Russell, the American badass.
Yeah,
is,
he's like a fighter pilot or like an ex-fighter pilot.
Yeah. David Keith is in this movie. He's awesome too.
Yeah, it had like a crossover with some of the Aliens cast. Or no, I'm thinking of the wrong movie.
Oh, okay. But I had Willford Brimley in it.
Yeah.
Telling everybody, you better check your blood sugar.
Yeah.
Check it often. And then he was eating some oatmeal. Then he became oatmeal.
Just eating a bunch of candy bars.
This movie came out in 1982. I was interested to read, Gog, that when this movie came out, it didn't do too good.
That's right.
It was, they were saying that, some of it was kind of a dark kind of movie. Of course it was. It was, not one of those fun rides at the movies.
Yeah.
I guess E.T. had come out that year, and so everybody was like, "Yay, the aliens are sweet."
Yep, and then like
this movie's like, no.
5-6 minutes into this one.
Yeah, fuck your life.
Yeah. Well, I guess like some of the critics were also panning the special effects, saying they were cheesy or over the top. I'm like, man, they were actually for 1982. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So I read that some of the special effects was like food items and different stuff. So just real quick before we, kind of dive into the movie, the plot, and some of that stuff, I had told you too that there was another one that was a remake.
Yes.
In 2011. Well, I was surprised to find out, because I've seen it. It wasn't a remake. It was a prequel, but they called it The Thing.
Oh.
So it was the same name, so that confused me.
Yeah.
But it was actually about the team that had found what they had encountered. Because in the movie, it starts out where they this helicopter is trying to shoot this dog.
Yeah.
And then they get into this camp with these Americans, and they're like, "Hey, you're shooting at us too," so they pop them.
Yeah.
But the team that had originally found this alien being from The Thing, spoilers.
Yep.
This 2011 movie is about them.
Okay. I know I've seen that one because as soon as I started watching this one, I was like, I know I've watched a movie with essentially the same premise. Yeah. But like newer than the 80s.
Wasn't, to me, it wasn't near as good as the original one. And I'm sure in 2011 they were like, "Ooh, you know what we could do with all the new CGI and yada yada yada." But like the practical effects that they used in that movie in 1982, to me, has more charm.
Yeah, like it was insane what they were able to do with like the tendrils shooting out, and like just everything about. The execution of it. It was like, some of it was a little cheesy looking, but that's, coming 40 years later.
It just looks better to me than like the really polished CGI
or
sometimes.
Like the 2011 CGI where it was like the best they were capable of at the time.
Yeah.
But has definitely aged like Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Notoriously.
Yeah. But I don't know. To me, sometimes it's the practical effects. We've talked about this before. They just have there's just something that passes the eye test to me more than when you see it all CGI'd.
Right.
And even though, even though it looks, you can tell it doesn't look real. Like the Ninja Turtle movies back in the 90s or whatever. They don't look real. They look puppety. But I still like it better.
Yeah.
Than the CGI Michael Bay one.
Right. No, I agree.
So it is what it is. For me, I can apply that to most movies. Most movies, for whatever reason, I just dig the practical effects, even if you can look at it and say that's fake or whatever. So
yeah, and like there's a handful of filmmakers nowadays that are kind of embracing that style, like Psycho Gorman and some stuff like that, where they're trying to use minimal like CG and trying to do more practical effects.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you can save the money for one, and spend it on better actors or whatever, I appreciate that too. Which, like I say, this movie has some really great actors in it. I had already mentioned Kurt Russell, who, to me, I don't know like why. I just love Kurt Russell growing up. Like he was in movies like Tombstone, where he was awesome. You know, he's a badass. We mentioned earlier Big Trouble in Little China, which I think was also John Carpenter on directing.
It's a weird one.
And him and John Carpenter hooked up for a couple, like Escape from L.A.
Yeah.
And that was the funny thing about Kurt Russell is like, you know, his whole career, like he did great action movies. He did like rom-com movies. I think he started off in Disney movies.
Yeah.
Back when he was super young.
Boy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like Kurt Russell is like, you know, like they say Tom Hanks is America's dad.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell is America's uncle.
Right. And now he's Santa Claus.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. On the Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot. I didn't see that.
I didn't either.
I didn't see Uncle Kurt.
I didn't need to see
in that movie.
I'm sure he was fantastic.
But I just feel like he was like the badass uncle.
Oh yeah.
You know, growing up in all the movies. We mentioned Willford Brimley. He was a biologist in this movie. And then Keith David. I think I called him David Keith earlier. Keith David as Childs, the chief mechanic. And he, like I say, he's a badass. He's been in tons of movies too. I'm gonna look up his
Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, he was. Ass to ass. Requiem for a Dream, on a side note, is one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Like I love that movie, but I've only seen it like twice.
Yeah, I've seen it enough times to where I don't need to watch it again.
No. It looks like maybe The Thing was like one of the first movies that he ever did.
Huh. He was also in this was
Platoon.
like such a random thing for Keith David was the Saints Row video games.
Oh yeah.
As himself.
Yeah. He was in They Live, which we talked about,
yeah.
another John Carpenter movie. Dead Presidents, Armageddon, Something About Mary.
Oh,
remember? Yeah. Requiem for a Dream, Pitch Black, Crash, Barbershop, Chronicles of Riddick.
Everything.
I mean, yeah, so many. He was in Nope not too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, which kind of, you know, not really, but kind of in the same sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
I guess not kind of. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. So I love Keith David. He's pretty dope. And I'm looking for any other names that stand out, but the really great cast, I thought. And then one of the other things that I really like about the movie is the setting. Like to set it in Antarctica, like you already have like just the geography and everything is out to kill you already.
Yeah. You're like a tiny dot in a sea of snow.
Yeah.
And ice.
Yes.
And frigid temperatures and winds and
right. So it's harsh conditions. You're in with a group of guys, and you know how that goes. Like I'm sure not everybody got along or whatever.
Right.
You know? And so like all these conditions are lined up so that when they come across basically what is an alien life form that had been frozen for thousands and thousands of years and hadn't been unleashed after the Norwegians had found it. Like it's a great setting to me for a horror movie.
Absolutely.
They're isolated.
Yeah.
So they can't like just call for help.
Right. And it's not that it's just like an alien, like on the movie Alien running around their ship. It's a body snatcher, essentially.
Yes, exactly. And so you take all those ingredients, you add in this alien, then you add in the fact that they can't even trust each other because they don't know if one of them might be the alien pretending to be, or it might already just not pretending to be them, but just in them working its deal until it takes over. Because that's what it does. It bonds with the cells and then it imitates the cells.
Yeah.
And so
they had a very very high quality graphic of how the cell gets infiltrated.
It did. It really did.
It was like 9 pixels.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I was like, is this a Pac-Man game or what's happening here? But yeah, so that's why we picked it, because it's not scientists didn't deem this the scariest movie of all time.
No.
But
And
it is a movie about scientists, so that's
most
how we
scientists
tied it.
know about scary movies.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of movies do scientists watch, do you think? Documentaries?
Neil deGrasse Tyson shows, probably.
Yeah. They just watch other scientists.
Yeah.
That'd be like, well, I guess we do listen to podcasts, so.
Not me.
No.
Nope.
You're a purist.
You
only listen to your own podcasts.
No, I do. I listen to other people's podcasts. Like anything good I do on a podcast, because I heard it somebody else
From
do
another
it.
podcast.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to steal that.
I'm going to steal that idea.
Hey, I come from radio where nothing is new and everything has been stolen.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It's 2023.
Later on, we're going to play Tribond and all these stuff I stole from Jack and Ron.
Yeah.
Too Tough Trivia. No, we're not. But, and if you're Oklahoma City, you know who I'm talking about. If not, you're like, hey?
You're like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah. They're not Brad and Gog, so who cares?
Precisely.
Right. But back to the thing. Like I say, I feel like just the whole background, the setting makes it for like a really good horror movie. And then, man, I'll tell you, like, so the dog infiltrates the whole crew.
Yeah.
And that to me was probably the saddest that I got the whole movie was when the dogs are all getting, eaten by the alien.
Absorbed.
Absorbed. And then they're having to kill the dogs to try to stop them. And I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. I don't want to watch this movie anymore. Because they were beautiful. Like, I think they were Malamutes, or I think they were a little too big to be Huskies. But they were really pretty dogs.
Absolutely.
And that bothered me the most.
Yeah, I agree.
I almost went
don't hurt the animals.
Yeah, I almost went all John Wick on everybody.
That one guy was trying to go John Wick on everybody.
He was like, the guy that cared for the dogs. Yeah, because it was like, oh, like you had to start with the dogs. Damn it, you couldn't have done it with like some cows or some deer or something that ain't
polar bear.
Yeah,
that would have been terrifying.
Yeah,
that monster. Like they're already scary, and then you have this like monster version, like alien version of it.
Yeah, like they're just up there on the hill drinking Coke. And then the aliens get them, and they're all like two-headed and shit. That'd be awesome. See, they could have made another Thing movie. They shouldn't have done it to where it was like because again, it was a prequel, but it was pretty much the same story.
Yeah.
It just happened to this crew instead of the other crew.
Right.
But like, what if like the alien took place maybe other places, and they could
because it was like he was calculating. If this alien gets like away from them, it would be X amount of hours before the entire world was infected.
Yeah. And that was so that was interesting because again, like you got a lot of different personalities to work with on a movie like this too.
Yeah.
And so they could tell a few different stories because you got different backgrounds, geologists, biologists, fighter pilots.
Yeah.
So
chef.
Yeah. Chef.
Roller skating chef.
From South Park.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Well, with AI technology, it's not impossible.
Yeah. But definitely to me, there's so many, and we could have done like a whole special about like sci-fi horror movies. Alien was a great one, especially the first one. After the first one, I feel like they became less horror and more
science fiction,
action.
Yeah,
action blockbusters.
Yeah, especially like the aliens.
Yes, yeah.
There was like a funny anecdote that Kevin Smith was talking about. I might have mentioned this, where when he was talking about the guy, I guess I forget who the director of the second Alien movie was. It wasn't Ridley Scott, but it was like another well-known director.
Yeah.
And he's like pitching to the boardroom. He walks in, he writes Alien on the dry erase board, and everyone's like sitting there like, I'm interested. Then he puts an S at the end, and they're like, oh. And then he puts the two lines through it like a $, and they're just like, yes.
I thought James Cameron might have been one of the directors, but I don't think that's right.
I don't retain information, folks.
I know, because I know he did Terminator. Oh, yeah, he did do Aliens.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he did the same thing with Terminator after Terminator 2 turned it into a blockbuster.
Yeah.
He should have went in and been like Terminators with a
with a dollar sign.
yeah,
That's why we're getting tusks.
yeah, or Edward Furlongs,
Yeah.
and then they would be like, yes. No, at the time they were like, who?
And then they had like Prometheus, which was I liked Prometheus a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was a really like kind of visually interesting movie.
But I feel like The Thing fits in more with like the first Alien. You got movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I'm totally certain that came before this movie.
Yeah.
Because that was like the 70s, I'm pretty sure, with Donald Sutherland,
Yeah.
the father of Kiefer,
That's right.
who was in several movies, including The Lost Boys, which we'll review next show. But I'm trying to think of some other movies. Like I thought there was like another back in the day. Well, there was The Thing was there was like a 1951 movie.
Oh yeah.
That was based on the same novella that
Right.
this one was. But I was thinking that there was like another one that kind of took place in like the same kind of setting, like The Blob or
Yeah.
one of those that was like,
Well, and there's a ton of like crappy ones because if you've ever watched Mystery Science Theater 3000, there's a lot of movies on there that you could classify as like horror and sci-fi, but they're just really bad.
yeah. Well, this movie, like I said, it got an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it was just so interesting to me that it got panned when it first came out.
Well, and like apparently it was like the movie he was the most proud of making.
Yeah.
And then it tanks at the box office. That has to like kind of knock you off your
Yeah.
block a little bit.
But now I am not the only one who thinks this. I read that like it it's become a cult favorite.
Yeah.
And a lot of people now say the same thing as me. Like if you had to say, Brad, which one is the best of sci-fi horror? Just off the top of my head, I'm going to go The Thing.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I might think of something else later. Because again, Alien, the first one to me was dope.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, all of them were good, but the
I feel
first
like
one
the
was
pacing on Alien's a lot slower though.
Yeah.
You know what I
well, this
mean?
one was pretty slow.
It kind of gets right into it though.
It does. Well, it does.
With the monster at
You
least.
you are right about that. I mean, it does have little time to like
where they're trying to figure
develop
shit out.
characters and shit too.
And, like,
but
devising
but you're
plans.
right. It doesn't move too slow.
Because at first, like the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're just kind of like, okay, here we are, and we're in Antarctica, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, shit starts hitting the fan, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah, like the whole dog thing is what kicked it all off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when they were like, wait, people that had been in contact with them are starting to, and it was really great. I liked the movie.
I enjoyed it.
I liked the story a lot. And again, I thought the acting was superb in it. So the fact that I don't know, I feel like maybe just, I guess at the time they were saying that people just weren't looking for like that kind of like dark, bleak movie because spoiler alert, the movie ends like kind of ambiguously.
Yeah.
We're kind of sure that they killed the alien,
Yeah. Well, they blew up the entire facility.
but Keith David and Kurt Russell are the only ones left.
Yeah, and Keith David had gone and was off somewhere while the whole explosion thing was happening.
So they're both kind of like, I don't know. You still might be an alien.
Well, and his Kurt Russell's jacket or whatever had gotten all slashed up.
Yeah. And so they were like, kind of like, but they were both like worse for wear.
Yeah.
And so they were like, you know what are we going to do about it now?
Yeah, let's drink this bottle of liquor and
Just
call it a
freeze
day.
to death.
Yep.
Yeah. But I like that ending.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
You don't always need a happy ending. You don't always need like a super conclusive ending.
Right. Because one of the things like on my other Nerds to Men, me and Cameo have debated this a few times. Movies that do end kind of ambiguous, I like, because in life, you don't always get the answer.
Right.
You don't always get the closure.
Right.
You don't always get, you don't always know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Well, and I also enjoyed the fact that it wasn't like they tied the bow and then had like the whoa moment at the end, or even like a post-credit thing where it's like,
Yeah.
the movie tied up, but we're going to have a little something just in case we make a sequel.
Yeah.
It was just like, that's just how it ended.
Yeah.
There we go. I fixed it.
And so I dug that ending. And I'm sure, I bet that some people were like, oh, I don't like that, because they wanted
resolution.
Yeah. But I like that it left it open, but not like you said, not so pandering, like, there's going to be another movie, but just leaves you wondering, was one of them an alien? Did the alien survive somehow?
Yeah.
Did another alien survive somehow? Because at the beginning of the movie, you see the UFO.
Yeah.
So,
well, and there was like the little ship that Willford Brimley was building.
Yeah.
Down in the basement.
Yeah.
Like the mothership that they stumbled across. Like, who knows what was inside of that?
That they said maybe had been like there for like hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I loved it.
Cool.
You don't have to make a whole bunch of movies to build a world.
Yeah.
We can do it in our mind.
Right.
And I really dug that.
I did too.
And again, John Carpenter's made so many great movies, and I definitely recommend The Thing.
I do too.
And I recommend going back and watching any of the movies that you can by John Carpenter. They Live is another great sci-fi type movie with aliens.
I give it 5 Kurt Russell hair dues.
Kurt Russell has the best hair. He had the best hat too.
Oh, the big dumb cowboy hat? Like, why are you wearing that?
I know.
It's freezing outside.
I was wondering too, like it was like a prospecting hat.
Yeah.
And
terribly
like
impractical for that.
He's out there fucking like, oh, what's it? Rappelling down the ice cliffs with this big ass hat. You're like, how the fuck did that not even just get blown off? You're in Antarctica.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's lined with.
It's the magic of the hat.
Goat hair, and it's warm as fuck.
It's got Velcro that just snaps onto the.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but the hat was great.
Yeah,
the hat was great.
I did notice that. I was like, that's kind of dumb but hilarious, and I bet it was probably Kurt Russell's choice.
Yeah, he's like, I brought the hat. I'm gonna wear the hat.
Yeah, Johnny boy.
I was totally believing they filmed it in Antarctica too. But they did a lot of frozen sound stages, like chill, like I guess
like Frozen, the Disney.
Yeah, they just used their sound stages. No, but chilled sound stages or whatever, and then they did Alaska
and Kurt Russell would, I guess, in some takes would like take a drag off of a cigarette right before they would yell action, so that when he was talking.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Looked legit, but you got the lung cancer. So.
Yeah, can't do that anymore these days. I guess you could do it with like a vape.
Yeah, you could.
There'd be too much of a cloud. You're just talking, and it's like.
Yeah. For me, I'd be all choked up for my next line because the vapes messed me up. So, but yeah, The Thing. I loved it.
I really enjoyed it.
Any other thoughts about it? That I talk a lot, so I want to give you a chance.
Let's see. I mean. I'd like to see more, like we were talking about universes, like with the Evil Dead thing. Like I'd like to see like some more of that universe, or that alien character maybe making its way somewhere else.
Yeah.
Another location, not necessarily like New York City or anything like that, but like Iceland or like a really like geographically interesting location that's kind of still isolated.
Right.
That'd be sweet.
Where the polar bears.
Yeah. Are drinking their Cokes and.
Yeah. Because the whole concept that the alien attaches and then mimics and imitates and becomes, I think is a great concept. So, but that is a kind of a theme with John Carpenter, is that like in the other movie, the aliens appeared as people and you couldn't tell other than the Rowdy Piper.
Oh yeah.
He had like these special glasses he could put on, and so he would see like, oh, that's not a senator, that's a alien, you know? And so it makes you wonder like the themes behind all that, but people pretending to be other,
and that's I think that's a really solid, especially for like a creative person or a filmmaker, is like, what are people's intentions?
Yeah.
And politicians are a great source of that. It's like they're saying all this shit and promising all these things, but like deep down, what are their intentions?
Right.
Because a lot of times it probably isn't the best of intentions.
Well, like James Gunn, to me, he has like that kind of running theme throughout some of his where, Slither. You saw that movie? Alien. If he wasn't influenced by the thing, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
But then he also did Peacemaker, where those things are kind of taking people over, and then so like that whole theme of being taken over. I think maybe his might be like by ideas and different things, how they take over your mind. And
right.
stuff.
Or even just us as people, like, what is our identity?
Exactly.
Because we're so busy and embedded in our lives that, the choices that we make along the way, like, it's important to stop and kind of examine everything and be like, who am I? Are the things that I'm doing and spending my time doing aligning with, like, what I feel like I represent?
Right. So I think that like there's with movies like this, you've got the opportunity for a little hidden meaning there too. I think is really cool.